Hi guys, it's Erin from Ginger's Florals. Today I'm going to share with you my top 5 of the best scented flowers and my top 5 best scented foliages that will make your bouquet stand out above all the rest. If you watch my recent video, I walk through all the steps I go through when I'm planning out my farm and selecting what to grow based on shape, texture, sparkle, color palettes. Adding scent is another element to your bouquet recipe. Just touches on another of our senses, and it can draw people in. It can even evoke emotion from some people, the nostalgia of some of the flowers, or a scent that, reminds you of your grandma or something like that. It's definitely an important element in my view, and it can certainly put you up above the rest of the crowd. So starting with the top 5 flowers, my number 5 is lilies. Oriental lilies specifically. They are incredibly strongly scented. If you get Asiatic lilies, they don't have any scent, but the Orientals do. Some people, it's a little overwhelming. That's why it's only number 5 on my list. They can be really strongly scented, but it's such a wonderful scent. And if you have them just growing in your garden, it's amazing. They will perfume the entire area, and they bloom for such a decently long period of time, especially on Oriental lilies, because they start blooming. They usually have a bloom head that has several flowers on it, and it will bloom one at a time, and the scent just keeps going on and on for a good long time. And if you use them as cut flowers, they do the same thing. As long as they're pulling off the spent flowers, more will continue to open, and they're just incredible. One bouquet with one stem of Oriental lilies can fill a house with scent, and I just love it. The next one I wanted to talk about was bearded iris. Now, this one is relatively new for me. My grandma always had bearded iris in her garden, and I loved it, and they're beautiful, but I never really got close enough to realize that a lot of them have a really wonderful scent. I grew one last year. I can't remember the variety name, but it was this beautiful purpley, almost brown color, and it smelled like grape soda. I'm not kidding, like grape soda. It was so cool. When we were at the farmer's market and I had them in some bouquets, I had several people that I was just like, you just smell this flower. Just put your nose in there and smell it. And they would, and every one of them they bought right away because they were just, it's so cool and unexpected. And they're not the type of flower that's going to overwhelm the rest of everything that's blooming around you with scent, but it's subtle and it's just gorgeous. I love them. Love, love, love. Number 3 in the list is roses. They're a classic. Everybody that grows roses knows that they have a wonderful scent. If you don't like that old-fashioned rose scent, you're not stuck with just that. Roses can have a wide range of scents, and my absolute favorite is Lady of Shalott. It's a apricot-y orange rose that I grow here, and I just love it. It smells almost citrusy. It's just beautiful, and it's very strongly scented. I adore it, and it's that one and Boscabel for the colors together are my 2 favorites, but the scent of the Lady of Shalott is just unbeatable. Check it out. It's a David Austin rose. They are so good. Roses have come a long way over the last decades. You have so much more options and varieties to choose from now. I encourage you all to go out to a garden center and start smelling the roses when they are blooming in the spring. So number 2, this one is one of my absolute favorites, and so many others, is sweet peas. Now, this is a truly nostalgic flower. So many of you have memories tied directly to that scent and that flower, and it's just one of the best. One of the descriptions I read recently, because sweet peas have their own unique scent. It's hard to describe it, for me anyways, as any one particular thing, but I saw one recently that somebody said that it smells like a mix of orange blossom, hyacinth, and rose, old rose. And all of them that I've grown, they have slightly different scents, but mostly you could smell a sweet pea from a mile away. I bring them down to the farmer's market, and I'll just sell bunches of 15 or 20 for $3 or $4. And people walking down the aisles, they'll catch a scent of it, and they'll just stop, walk into my area, and they'll just stick their face in the sweet peas. It's so fun. And most people, well, I won't say most, but a good lot of people will stop and tell me a story about how their grandma had them in their garden or their mother did, or it really reminds a lot of people of family members and history and the past. And it's such a great flower. And they've come so far with hybridizing that you can get really big blooms and long stems, and they actually do really well in bouquets, especially for wedding work and things like that. But just to have a bunch on your kitchen table and the whole room smells like sweet peas, yeah, I love that. And then number one, my absolute favorite scented flower is stock. I've talked about this a lot. I adore this flower. Not only is it gorgeous big panicles of flowers that they look beautiful in a bouquet, but they also have the most intoxicating, warm, clove, spicy scent that I can stand all day long just with my nose in a clove flower and be perfectly happy. Every year when I grow stock, I always cut a bunch for myself just about every week and put them in the house so that I have them for me. They're just, they don't smell like anything else. That clove scent, people will recognize it in their head, but not be able to really distinguish what exactly that scent is, but it's definitely clove. And it's such a warm scent. And if you haven't grown stock, grow it. I've said this so many times. It's my absolute favorite for scented flowers. I haven't found a flower yet that beats that on scent, especially for cut flowers. They last a very long time in the vase, and they're just gorgeous. They fill up so much space. And if you're growing them, you have to be aware that half of the flowers that you grow are just going to be single petals, and they don't have quite as strong of a scent. But the doubles, the big, beautiful, amazing ones, they will have a really strong scent. And people walking by my area at the farmer's market definitely get pulled in when they smell those. I do want to list a few honorable mentions because they're gorgeous and lovely scent, but they didn't quite make my top 5. So lilacs, they're just amazing. Narcissus or daffodils, some people like it, some people don't, but I personally do. Peonies actually a lot of them have a really good sugary scent. Phlox can, dianthus, they have a similar sort of, dianthus or carnations, they can have a similar clovey sort of scent like the phlox does. They're great. They're just difficult for me to grow, and they're pretty brittle, but they're beautiful and they smell amazing. Not the ones you get at the grocery store, but if you go to a local farmer's market or a local flower stand and they have carnations in there, they're going to have a gorgeous scent. Okay, that's all my favorite flowers that have amazing scent that will add so much to your bouquets. If you noticed, pretty much all of those flowers, they bloom in the spring or very early summer. I find that there's not a whole lot of scented flowers, at least not that I can grow here well, that grow in the summer and into the fall. They just don't. It kind of switches. So for the summer and fall, I grow a lot of scented foliages. For me, foliages are one of the most important elements to your bouquet recipe. I've talked about it lots of times, but if you are missing foliages, your bouquet just doesn't look finished. And added bonus of a scented foliage, it just, again, puts it over the top. A lot of the other farmers at my market, they have gorgeous flowers, but they don't spend as much time making sure that they have those extra elements, the little sparkle bits and the scented flowers. And so, like I said, there's not a lot of flowers in the summer and fall that are scented. You will get some roses, your sweet peas, or you can even grow stock to rebloom in the fall because they're cool season flowers. But I generally don't. I stick with foliages. So my number 5 is maybe a little controversial because a lot of people would probably put it at number 1. But for me, eucalyptus. I like it. It's beautiful. The blue-green color and the scent is so calming. It's a fantastic cut flower or cut foliage, and it will last, 2 weeks in a vase, but it's just not my favorite. It's just not my go-to first thing that I want to grab when I go out there, but that's okay. It's still a fantastic one, and they're relatively easy to grow, and if you live in a slightly warmer climate, they do well as shrubs or trees, so you can just have them and cut from them, and you don't have to worry about reseeding them every year like I do. The other reason is that they don't actually, for me, they don't actually have really usable stems till close to the very end of the season for me. Okay, number 4 is oregano, Greek oregano specifically. It's kind of funny. I have a lot of herbs that I actually grow as foliages, but oregano, it's got, the Greek oregano has this beautiful plume of flowers on the top of it that are sort of a purpley raspberry color, and then all of the herby greenery around it, and that scent, it's funny when customers come by and they'll smell the flowers and they'll smell that and they don't necessarily recognize that it's oregano, but they definitely are drawn to it. And it's an unusual scent for a bouquet, but it's also a beautiful scent for a bouquet. It's not sugary, it's not floral, it's herby, and I enjoy it, and it's beautiful. Number 3 is mint. Really all kinds of mint. Common mint, apple mint, pineapple mint. These are all fantastic cut flowers or cut greenery for your bouquets. Anise hyssop is in, I think, the same family, and it's also great, and bee balm, and they all have slightly different variations on that herby minty scent. My favorite right now anyways is the apple mint. That the scent of it is a little more subtle than, say, a peppermint. Chocolate mint is also a good one, but it doesn't seem to have, I can't get it to grow long, tall, straight stems as easily, which is where the apple mint comes in. A lot of people are scared of mint. It can take over, but I cut it so hard and so often that I don't seem to have that problem. I can keep the mint in check, at least for me, because like I said, I'm cutting it so often. But that scent of mint is really, it's great. People love it. I love it. And being able to build the bouquets with that, it's so good. I highly recommend it. Mint, you can, and if you're really that scared of it, you can grow them in a barrel or in a pot. You do have to divide them pretty regularly because they will take over a pot. But they're really great, easy to grow, strong stems. Yeah, mint is a great one. So number 2 for my favorite scented foliages to put into your bouquet recipes is basil. Cinnamon basil, amaretto basil, depending on what colors you want. But my absolute, like, hands down favorite is Mrs. Burns lemon basil. I'm not kidding you, the scent of this. It's a lot like the stock in that I will walk around with a stem of this and just smell it as long as I possibly can. It's such a, I mean, if you like the scent of basil, like cooking basil, Genovese basil, you will love this one. And it's that mixture of that beautiful basil aroma mixed with a citrus, the lemon. Oh my gosh, it's just unbelievable. And you just barely have to walk by it and let it flutter a little bit in the wind and you'll get just wafts of the scent. The only reason that this isn't number 1 is that basil, at least in my climates, other climates are certainly different, is that it gets a little wilty when I cut it, because you have to wait for basil to really start blooming before the stems are hardy enough to cut. So it's a little finicky, it's a little more wilty. And that Mrs. Burns, sometimes, depending on the season and how hot it's been and how much water it's getting, it can burn the tips a little bit. But the scent overwhelms any of the negatives, in my opinion. It's definitely so good. Basil is also really easy to grow from seed, so give it a try. All you need really, because it's a cut, it's probably a medium producer. It'll grow big tall stems. You'll cut them off and it will actually, it's like pinching. It will grow more stems later on. It just takes a little while to get there. But man, that scent, and I don't know anybody, I've never met anybody that doesn't just adore that scent. So I will grow that. Even though it's a little more finicky than the rest of the stuff that I grow, I will grow that every single year as long as I'm able. Okay, now the number one absolute, my top for foliages, scented foliages for my bouquet recipes is scented geraniums. Not just any scented geraniums. I love the foliages of the chocolate geraniums. I like the little pink flowers on the attar of rose. But for scent, I prefer above all else there's citrus. There's a citrus geranium. It's actually pelargonium, I think is what the actual name is. They're not really geraniums. But that scent, a lot like the Mrs. Burns Basil, that citrusy scent, it's just so strong, and you just barely have to touch the foliage and the whole thing, the oils will come out and it will just perfume the air. And if you hadn't noticed, citrus is one of my favorite scents. But this one, the other thing about geraniums or scented geraniums is that they're super easy to propagate. All you need to get your hands on is at your garden center, at your farmer's market in the spring when they're selling starts, is to get a couple of 4-inch pots, plant them, and then you can start taking cuttings year over year. I bought I think 2, and I have enough to do, 30 different cuttings in any given season and have just a whole bed of nothing but scented geraniums, which I love. It's a really good, it does take a little bit later in the season, July really, before I can cut from it, but that's okay because that's when the rest of the scented flowers have kind of faded away. I can start cutting on my foliages and fill in that blank. They're just, oh man, so good. So that completes my list of the best scented flowers and foliages to put into bouquets. The best flower was stock. The best foliage was scented geranium. I adore both of those. They're relatively easy to grow. They do well in bouquets. They don't get wilty. They're so good. There are a couple of honorable mentions that I wanted to say for foliages and woody type flowers. Bee balm. Bee balm is another really great scented foliage. It's in, well, I talked about it a little bit. It's in the mint family, but it's much more herby than it is minty. And then the other one was a mock orange. That's a shrub, and you can use it as either a foliage or a flower. If you're cutting it in the spring for the flowers, that's when you're going to get your scent. It is just an intoxicating, citrusy floral scent that I highly, and the flowers are so big and beautiful and they're just amazing. So that's another really great one. But overall, that's my favorites list. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I encourage you to give any or all of these a try. They're so fun to grow and so easy to grow for the most part. And they really will make your bouquet stand out above the rest. They'll have that extra something that's just a little more special that can either bring on memories for people, or they will remember your bouquet and come back to you at the next market or whatever the occasion may be. And also really great to just have in your own cutting garden that you can bring inside your house and fill your home with all of these amazing scents. All right, guys, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Leave a comment if you have any questions, or if you have any other flowers any scented flowers or foliages that I haven't mentioned. I'd love to hear about them. And then I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.